right? Like you're going to be, and I don't want to like teach to the code challenge, but this is to give you a better idea of what to expect. And that is we're going to deploy like a code challenge. It'll look like sort of like any other lab. As another reminder, there's no RSpec. There should be like no tests to kind of run against it. It should be something that at this point you're using put statements, a combination of put statements and pry, or you could just jump into the pry, test it, and if the return value sort of matches the logic and it meets the deliverable, then you're good to go, right? But what's going to happen is you'll sit down, you'll hang out here, we'll probably spread you all out, and then we'll give you some instructions. We'll deploy the code challenge, and then essentially you'll work on it for 60 minutes. You'll all push your code, and then we'll go into like grading mode. You'll take like a nice extended lunch where you'll obviously not discuss the code challenge with each other, and then we'll grade. We're gonna like look through it, we're gonna review, and then we'll make that determination based on where you are in terms of like your mastery of the material. Like, are you pattern matching? And what I mean by that is like you can already see there's certain things like the add at all, right? It looks almost, if not exactly the same across the different classes. Sometimes it works like that. Other times it doesn't. And you could tell if somebody's just pattern matching where they're just copying, pasting code and they're like, I think this is gonna work. And then ultimately if it doesn't work, they're like, I don't know why. And that's kind of like, oh, you're like, I've seen this work before, and so I'm just gonna copy it over. The idea is that you have to be able to like explain your code and then like think through like, hey, how does this work? All right, what do I need? What information do I need here? What's the scope of this? Did I name this appropriately? Are my variables named appropriately? And then does it return what I want it to return? It's kind of like the thought process. And so all right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to clone this repository down so we have access to it. I'm not going to lie, I haven't done this lab in like 9 months, so I'm just going to do it live for you. Good luck. All right, so I'm just going to make a brand new directory, 05, and that's going to be many to many review gains, the 05. Cool. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to clone it. Cool. Yeah? If you guys want to see something cool, I can do this. If I cd. Remember, git clone is going to clone it right into this repository. So if I run git clone, and I give it the URL or like the git repository, I can name the folder right here. And that will be 05 many to many review. And then it'll make that folder, it'll clone everything into it. And so when I cd into 05 many to many review, this is where the code will live. All right. For some of you that are not a big fan of gains, so all right, great. Let's open up the code and let's kind of like think through how this is gonna go. Remember that app, the doctors? All right. So we'll take a look at what we have here, and that is take a look at the README. Right. So here's the README, and then here's what it looks like when it actually is sort of rendered properly. Again, like I explained, you can always take a look at that preview. Up there. There it is. And so this is what it looks like after the markdown has taken effect. Either way you look at it, should be no big deal. So the first thing is it's going to be like there's some sort of story. And so you're not building this like nebulous app for absolutely no reason. And the idea is that you should definitely read this. We will tell you, I want to say at minimum 3 or 4 times to read the README. And without fail, there's usually a student that's like, oh, I didn't read the README. I'm like, okay. But that's okay. So the idea is like, this is where all your instructions are. And this is really where if you get confused or you get lost in thought, just come back to this. And so here, setup. Your goal is to build out all the methods listed in the deliverables. Surprise. All right. Make sure you use the proper iterator. And then we've already provided you with something called this console. Have you seen this already in your labs? Okay. I'll explain it so no one's like sort of lost. All right. If it doesn't work, try running bundle install. Okay, we're not going to need to do that. But here's the idea. Here's just all the deliverables. Great. So the first thing I'm thinking is like, all right, I need to get an understanding of what already is built so I kind of can realize what do I need to add on and how can I add on to that code. So let's take a look at config environment. I'm requiring pry and I'm pulling in all of the models. We've seen this before. Why would I want to be doing something like this? Right, make the connection, make links to each other so that everything's in scope. If I'm going to have a relationship between gym and lifter, then I should have some sort of file that has access to both the gym and the lifter file, right? Yeah, the single source truth. All right, and so let's take a look really quickly at what our models are. We have gym, okay, so it just has one attribute and has a reader for name, cool. Lifter, looks like there's some sort of name and lift total attribute for this lifter class. And then membership just has cost. Okay? What about this tools console? All right, you don't need to require any of the files. We've done it for you. Wow. So if config environment pulls in pry and pulls in all three of the files, all the models are there. If I require this one config environment file somewhere else, will I have access to pry in the three models? Yes. Because this pulls in everything, so if I pull in this one, then it should be good to go. And so here, wow, test code goes here. Bless up. All right, gains. Oh my God. I'll leave it in there. All right. So I have a binding pry here. So I just kind of want to like run it just to kind of like test. So I can simply just run this console file. I notice that it's inside tools, so if I ls, which just like lists all the files, I see three folders, config, lib, and tools, along with the readme, which makes sense according to my file tree. So if I go ahead and just simply Ruby and I run the console file, will that be okay? There's no file console.rb, load error. Why? It's in the tools folder, right? Super easy. Tools, console, RB, and then I should hit the binding pry. I should have access to gym, lifter, and membership. Right? So that makes sense. So let's actually just start building out these deliverables. Take a look at the README. I see a lifter. I need to get a list of all the lifters. Cool beans. How can I get a list of all the lifters? We've seen this before. It's not scary. All right, so where should I kind of put this? All right, let me put it in the lifter model. Oh, wow. It's not scary, right? Cool. So how do I do this? I need some sort of class variable, right? Because all the lifters should be the scope of what? An instance or the class? Class, so I'm going to create a class variable to kind of hold all the lifters. So at, I'm just going to put lifters, all right? Would that make sense to you? Yes, no? Well, how will we wind up referencing this? Maybe something like lifter.lifters. Is that a little bit redundant? Potentially. So maybe not lifters, but that's kind of why we went with like all. It's going to be all of them, so some sort of like list-like data structure, so I'm making an array. And then ultimately, at all, I'm just going to push in myself. And now I need a getter method for this class variable. So I'm just going to boop. All right, are we cool here? Is that good? Where do I need self? Right here? Self dot add all. Like, okay. So I'm thinking more like on line 12. As I define it, I'm letting it know that this is going to be a class method. Cool. All right. So am I done? Am I good? There's only one real way to know is we should test. Okay. So if I'm in tools console, right? Should I jump right into the pry here and create instances of the lifter in my pry session? I could. I'd have to do it every single time. But if I left some in here and then I hit the pry, I should basically have access to it, right? This is where I'm going to put all my seed data, all my test data. Huh? Okay. I'm open to questions.
No, because I feel like I just tried to do this and then never mind. We'll just do it.
All right, let's do it live.
Let's do it.
Great. So I have, does anyone want to be a lifter? I mean, I'll get some gains. All right, I'll get gains. All right, here we go. So lifter.new. And what are the attributes of lifter? Name and lift total. Great. All right, seconds. And then I'm assuming this is a number. Just put over 9,000. I don't know what it's asking for, like bench, squat, deadlift. It's so nebulous. Bench? All right, cool. All right, you guys are all curious? I'm awful at benching. I've competed in Olympic weightlifting, which is a completely different sport. All right, anyone else? Bulbasaur. Okay. And how much does Bulbasaur lift? 20 pounds, right? Bulbasaur is doing his or her best. What? Anyone else?
Biff.
Who? Biff? All right, what's up with Biff? What? What does Biff lift? 350. Wow, that's wild. All right, great. Cool. So let's test, right? I'm simply gonna run. Whoops.
You never told us the story about Heat. You gotta go tell us later.
All right. If you guys are still interested, at the end of this review, I will tell you the story of yeet. Gotta yeet that haw. All right. I've made 3 lifters in here. Oh, man. I got distracted. There were some protesters during my code challenge, and I forgot what I was doing. What should I do? Right, I've completely forgot what I was doing because like I ran into an error. I finally fixed the error, and I'm like, great. I fixed the error. I'm like, oh man, I'm stuck, and then I'm panicking, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go back to the Readme and take a look. What is it that was I doing? What was I just doing? Right? Okay, I was on this method. Got it. Get a list of all the lifters. Okay, now I remember. I built this. Great. Now I'm gonna test it. And how can I test this? Is it gonna be evans.all? No? I mean, there's so many of Evanses, right? Great. How can I test this? Lifter.all. Okay, great. So it returns all the lifters. And that makes sense. So did I finish this deliverable? Can I move on? Yeah, I feel comfortable with this. I feel like it does what it's supposed to do. It met the deliverable. I've got a list of all my lifters. Great. Go to the README. And I'm just going to comment this thing out. Like, boom, I'm done. Maybe I can get fancy. I'll just drop a quick old, wow, powerful. All right. So now I need to get a list of all the memberships that a specific lifter has. Okay. I'm just going to copy it because I'm going to forget ultimately what I'm trying to do. And I'm going to go into the lifter class because I'm still in the lifter model. And I'm going to go, great. Here we go. I'm going to comment this out. Get a list of all the membership that a specific lister has. So, what's the scope of this? Class or instance? Instance? Okay. Get a list of all the memberships that a specific lifter has. What would I want to name this thing? Memberships, right? Sure. Memberships. Okay. And how can I actually do this? Get a list of all the memberships that a specific lifter has. What do I need access to? I probably need access to probably all the memberships, right? And then I'm going to go through each one of them and be like, hey, is that my membership? All right, so do I have access right now to all the memberships? No. All right, so let me just, I guess I have to build that. So let me go to the membership class. Bloop. All right, cool. No big deal. All right. Now we're cooking with butter. No? All right. Okay. So cool. So now do I have access to all the memberships? Yeah. All right. The idea is that like at this point, do I have access to all the memberships? Yeah. All right. So let me do that. Okay. First of all, I need to get a list of all the memberships. Okay. Boom. Membership.all. Wow. I was feeling easy breezy so far. What do I need to do with this? Right. I'm checking to see like, am I the lifter in that membership? Okay. Well, is not each the right move? All right. What are these? X? All right. These are memberships. Quick to correct. You guys are on it. All right. Let me just drop this quick binding because I'm not 100% sure kind of like what to do next, and that's okay. And so let me think. Membership.all.each do membership. All right. So let's test. Back inside my console file, do I have any memberships? No. Okay. So let me make some membership. Right. ms1 membership.new. And let's just take a look at kind of what attributes membership has. Cost. Great. So cost is, let's go to Planet Fitness, because we all know membership there is $10. It's like $10, right? What else? We got Blink, right? Blink is great. 25. Do I hear 30, 35, 40, 40, 40, 40? Do I have 40? All right, what other gyms are there? Okay, Equinox, right. Equinox, we all know how much that costs, right? And so let's kind of, that mint eucalyptus? I don't actually really know about that. Someone told me.
There's a gym that pays their trainer $1,000 an hour if they just started in New York City.
Oh,
It's by that rapper.
it's not like a gym. It's like well. It's called like Be Well.
Oh, do you remember when I said New York City is the greatest city on earth? I'm sorry, I was wrong. Okay, so let's test, right? Cool. So how can I actually test this method? Oh, right. So it must be some sort of like lifter.memberships. No? Right. You can just be like, no, boo, Evans, you stink, right? The idea is that this is what type of method, instance or class? Instance. So I can't call instance methods on classes. Crazy. So let's call it on an instance of lifter. Let's do biff. Oh, biff. Biff.memberships. And I'm inside the binding. And that's cool. So I'm going to look at membership. I'm going to see it only has cost. It's weird. I'm trying to see if this membership, like, I'm the lifter in it. Right now, I can only tell that there's an attribute of cost. So I'm missing something, which makes me, like, stop and think, like, man, of gym, lifter, and memberships, what's the relationship between them? I haven't done my domain modeling. I sort of jumped right into it because I was anxious, and I was like, I need to, like, start writing code. I only have an hour, and you move very quickly. You could take the breath, slow down, and just think, all right, you're probably not going to do this. I mean, you could like carry a whiteboard with you or a notebook, but let's actually like figure out the relationships. I'm moving kind of quick, but I have at least lifter. And let's just start with gym for funsies. G is for gains. And what's the relationship between lifter and gym? Right, so like one lifter can go to many gyms, bloop, 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 bloop. But what about the gym and lifter? One gym belongs to a lifter? Has many, right? Okay, cool. So I've identified this many and many, which I know there must be some sort of like join table, some sort of connector. And right now I'm looking at memberships without assuming, because sometimes things can get tricky. What's the relationship between this lifter and the membership? Right, a lifter can have many memberships. And what about each individual membership? Can they have many lifters? Right, it belongs to a lifter because you're paying that $2,500 a month for Equinox and nobody else is getting in but you. What about gym and membership? What's sort of the relationship there? Right, gym can have many memberships. That makes sense to me. And each one of those memberships belongs to a gym, right? Just because I'm paying a lot of money for Equinox does not allow me access to the CrossFit gym, unfortunately. Okay, cool. So I've drew out the domain. I've done the domain modeling. And now I'm like, I understand these relationships. Inside membership, I don't know why I did that with my head. Inside membership, what must be in there? Lifter and gym, right? Just like with appointment, sometimes there are additional attributes, like what time is the appointment. Here with membership, I've already given you one attribute, and that is cost. So what should be in here? Lifter and gym. All right, cool. So let me just add that in. Lifter, bloop, gym, and then cost. Is there anything else I need to do?
Status active.
Status updates?
Put the lifter and gym with cost on the attribute.
I can make an accessory, yes. But what do I need really for the membership to exist? I have to initialize it with a lifter and a gym. So I'm gonna make sure I create this. Great. And so now sort of like the next thing is like, as I'm testing, I realize that I don't actually have access to lifter or gym. So what should I do? Right, I need those getter setter methods. So how would I build them? Should I just build them right here? I'm sorry, just kidding. Lifter, right? Yeah? Oh, just kidding. Yes? No? You want to use those powerful macros? Just me? Okay. So lifter, read, write, or both? Sure. Okay, lifter. What about gym? Read, write, or both? Okay. Gym. And I'm just going to sneak in cost here and just blast this. Great. Cool. So at this point, I feel like I've written a lot of code. I should probably test membership, but we're just going to move past that. Right? I would test membership, though, at this point. What I want to do is kind of like make sure that this review lecture is like a little faster. So I would test membership at this point, and literally I would just make a membership. I'd test to see if I can read lifter, test if I can read gym and cost, and then be like, great, all these things make sense. I wrote a lot of code, and then I was like, my God, what was I really doing? Why did I need this in the first place? And I forgot. So I'm going to go to the Readme. I'm going to see, okay, all right, get a list of memberships that a specific lifter has. Okay, right, so I was working in the lifter class. Take a look. Oh, right, I was right here. Cool. Great. So let me like continue here again. Well, how do I test this? How do I get back here?
But you're gonna create some memberships first.
I should probably create some memberships first, right? Okay. Is this cool? Is this good?
Oh,
I can leave this alone?
no.
What error should I see if I try to run this right now? Yes, wrong number of arguments, right? Because how many arguments does membership take now? And then how many have I given it? So you're all correct, and the exact error will be something along the lines, I don't know why I said exact and then something along the lines, but it's going to be argument error, right? Expecting 3 given, and you're like, oh my God, that makes sense. Thank you, Rails. Sorry, thank you, Ruby errors. Bless up. All right. Does the order matter in terms of like this lifter and gym and cost? Can I put lifter and gym and cost afterwards? No. All right, order is definitely going to matter, right? If I put 10 first, it's going to assume the lifter's name is 10, which is wrong. What? Okay. Great. I joined Planet Fitness. Please don't judge me. And I'm missing something. Need gyms. Oh my god. I gotta make some gyms. Okay. I realized that this names probably should be for the gyms. Right? This is like membership 1. Oh, blink. Embarrassing. Boop, 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 boop. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Membership 3. Okay. How are we doing this? You said Word? All right. There's some sort of like gym class. Cool. Which we all loved in high school. Interesting. So just initialize it with a name. So gym.new, and I just need a name. And this one's going to be Old Planet Fitness. Cool. Boop. Oh, whoa. Snap. Just kidding. Boop. Boop. All right. This would just be B for Blake. Blink. Whoa. Duh. And then Equinox. Powerful. Powerful. All right. Cool. So, say again over? Of course.
It's really bothering you.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not. No.
You're questioning your consistency.
I'm never saying anything ever. I was just expressing my feelings.
Say again over?
Because you now use PF to.
No, see,
Plant?
you're ruining everything. I was gonna keep it to myself.
Okay. All right. This is the gym where you bring your friend for free, and then Equinox. All right. Is that better?
Yeah.
I feel like it's not. I'm sorry. All right. So I'm just gonna put it in. I've joined Planet Fitness. Cool. All right. Does anyone want to be a part of any of these gyms? What would happen if I passed in Evans as a quote? Thank you, everybody. What would happen if I put Evans as a string? As quotes. Embarrassing. Is there a difference between this and this? Okay. Okay. So what would happen here? Would this instantiate?
Yeah, it will.
Right. Remember when I look at membership, right? If I look at ms.lifter, what do I get back? I get the string Evans back, which allows me only to call string methods. If, however, I pass in the variable, right, which refers to a lifter object, then I get to call the lifter methods on this. Yeah? Okay. Cool. Are you guys good with that? Awesome. Let me just get rid of it. Man, I feel weird. Like my name's like all over this review. Cool. Yeah. That's it. Good? Awesome. Great. So, cool. Old Bulba is going to blink. And then old Biff will go also to Planet Fitness. Nobody can afford Equinox. Not nobody, but it's pretty pricey. It's a very nice gym though. I've been very nice. Okay. So let me think through, right? Remember where we were, trying to get a list of all the memberships that a specific lifter has. Looking inside lifter, we're checking right here membership.all dot each, and we're in this pry. So let's do it. Okay. So now I need to call memberships on an instance of lifter. So let's just see me. And I'm in the pry. So what is membership now? Okay, remember we just had cost before, but now we also have the gym object and the lifter object in there. So what do I really need to do to meet this deliverable? I need to get a list of all the memberships that a specific lifter has. What's the next step? What am I comparing? What am I checking? What am I doing? Right. The idea is like I have access to membership, each one of these membership objects. Each one of those has access to a cost, a gym, and a lifter. And inside the lifter class, inside the instance method, I have access to the instance itself through self. So if I do membership.lifter, and I even just check kind of self, what is like self in this scope? What should it be in this instance? What is self here? It should be the instance that called this method. Right? This is an instance method. So self would be the instance that called it. So what called memberships? Yes, but specifically the Evans object, the Evans lifter. And we know that because literally right here, Evans.memberships. Evans is the instance of lifter that called memberships. So self would be me, Evans. Now, what if it was Biff.memberships? What would self be in that case? It'd be Biff, right? That's the new self. All right, cool. So if I do self in this case particularly, I notice that because Evans is the one that called it, self refers to Evans. So if I look at membership.lifter, really what I'm doing is I'm going through all the memberships and I'm checking to see each one, am I the lifter inside that membership? And so I'm really just kind of essentially doing membership. I'm checking the lifter inside the membership object, and I'm comparing it to see is it me? What would happen when this code runs? All right, what is the return value? Did I scare you? Like, whoa. What's the return value? Is each the correct iterator to be using here? Who wants to use find? You just whispered it, then like, okay. What does find return? Only returns the first one, right? But here it says get a list of all the membership that a specific lifter has. If I use find, it's only ever going to return one, so I know that it's probably not the right iterator. Am I trying to change or mutate the data in any way? Okay, so I know I'm probably not going to use map. But what I am doing is I'm going to like pick the ones, I'm going to select the ones where of all the memberships, I'm actually the lifter in that membership. So I'm going to use select. And so let's do this. Let's test. If I try this again and I do something like evans.memberships, I notice it's an array. Only one membership is inside this array. Let me go back to my test data to see, is that correct? Does Evans only have, man, it's so weird to talk about myself third person. Does Evans only have one membership? Yeah, all right, so naturally one came back. Do you feel 100% confident that this is like testing and it's working properly?
No.
No, I don't. So I should probably add some more seed data. All right, so let's give Evans some more memberships. How can we do that? I could just make another membership like that. Magic. And then how can we give Evans another membership? Yeah, I'm just gonna pass in Evans as the lifter, and then I could just go to another gym. I just got a fat raise, not really, but I'm going to Equinox now. So now how many memberships does Evans have? Great, so let me check. If I do this and I do Evans.memberships, I see 2 in there. But I just want to make sure that like I didn't change anything crazy. How many memberships does Bulba and Biff have? 1 each, right? So if I do Bulba.memberships, I see 1, okay? And then Biff.memberships, they also have 1. I feel like this is probably enough data to be like, you know what, that works as intended. Especially as you start to look through what the gym and lifter is inside each one of these membership objects, and if it matches up with that seed data. Cool? How are we feeling about this so far? All right, we're gonna move a little bit faster, but that's sort of like the breakdown of like the beginnings of it. Cool.
For the select method, what's the significance in using it differently as in the swing brackets and do?
That's a very good question. The question is, why would I use the select with the do end versus doing something like membership.all.select and then doing the curly boys, right? What's sort of like the difference? Cool. What if I do this? I do the pipes, and each one of these are what? Membership objects, and then I do this exact line of code. Will 25 and 19 through 23 be exactly the same? Will it work? Absolutely. So the question is like, what's the difference? Great. How do I test the code between 19 and 23? Where would I put the pry? I put it anywhere I want, between the do and the end block. I want to test this code. Where do I put the pry?
Put it right there.
I don't think it works. No, I tried putting the bind.
Evan, do a semicolon and bind it.
It works.
Semicolon in the binding?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, just put it on one line.
What is a semicolon?
It'll work. I don't know. It's the end statement. It's telling the statement that it's ended. But it's still within the curly brace
Yep.
that's executing the next statement.
Absolutely. Let's take a look. If you're reading through someone's code, 19 through 23 or line 25? If you're reading somebody's code, which do you prefer? 19 through 23 or 25?
Personally, I was on like my blog instead of like
If you've never seen it, it's easier to understand
Yes.
19 and 23. But if you're writing it, you know what you're doing. 25 is easier.
Okay. So, to answer the question, the curly boys only allow you to do one line. If you have any other logic in your iterator, it will not work. It has to be one line. I want to emphasize, the number of lines in your code does not mean it's better. Please. It's always hard to pull people out of that mentality. It's the readability. All right? However you choose to do it is your call. But the curly boys only allow one line.
So will that binding.py work?
yes.
If you drop the semicolon, you're telling it that that statement is ended, and then you can run the next statement. So, personally, it's not my preference, but if that is your flavor and style, then whatever works for you. Just remember, if it only works for you and it doesn't work for the rest of your team, guess who's building the app by himself? Cool. All right. So how are we feeling about like meeting these two deliverables? Yeah? So far, so good? Awesome. Well, let's go to 3. All right, get a list of all the gyms that a specific lifter has memberships to. Cool. Boom. Let me clean this up a little bit. Boop, boop. I need to get a list of all the gyms that a specific lifter has memberships to. What's the scope of this? Class or instance? All right, instance, right? Cool. Sorry, I'm a teacher and I need to use something called the wait time, which is the right answer. But yeah, I mean, just give everyone a fair chance. Cool. All right, so what do you want to call this method? Huh? Gyms? Get a list of all the gyms that a specific lifter has memberships to. Sure, I like my gyms too. Okay. Okay. And what are we doing in here? What makes sense to you? How can a lifter get access to their gyms? Through the membership, right? Wow, that wasn't subtle at all, right? You need to go through the membership. Because which one of these models holds information about both the lifter and the gym? Membership, right? Cool. So I need to go through, right? Go through. Should it be all the memberships? Like if you were in real life, right? And you were just trying to figure out, all right, oh my God, I'm paying for all these gym memberships. I don't know which gym I'm a member of. Are you gonna call every single gym and be like, hey dog, can you check to see if I'm a member here? Like, no, you would look at all of your memberships and then look at the gym that's inside that membership, right? You'd pull out your little keychain and be like, oh, New York Sports Club, of course, right? Oh, Planet Fitness key card. Like, you'd have to look at the membership itself to figure out what the gym is, right? So, should it be all the memberships? All right, it's all like to go through all my memberships. And then, what? Probably like, yeah, return a list of the gyms in those memberships. In my memberships. Okay? So, let me just do it. Let's go through all the memberships and find out which one are mine. That would make the most sense, right? I'd have to find out all of my memberships. So let's do that. Membership.all. I gotta find mine. I'm gonna select. What a great, powerful class. I'm just gonna use that helper method. So I'm gonna use memberships, which already goes through all the memberships and returns the ones that are mine. And what type of data is this? A number, a hash, string, some sort of list-like object? Yeah, an array. So I have all the array methods. So I can just quickly dot each thing. I'm trying to get you out of the habit of thinking dot each is the way for everything. I don't know if I'm doing a good job. Okay. Some of you said map. Why map? Map will in fact return a brand new array. Is that all it does, or? It does that one-for-one transformation. Cool. So I'm going to go through the memberships and I'm going to look at each one of them. And instead of returning an array of memberships, I instead want to return an array of gyms. So, okay, I'm going to test this. We all think it's going to work. Okay. Self should be implicit here. So let's take a look at what's happening. I'm going to do tools.rb. Row, unexpected keyword n. Okay. Config environment line 3. Interesting. But what else is there? What else is in this error message that's super useful? Can you see this or no? All right, I'll try this. If you cannot see this, raise your hand. Okay, I don't know. I just heard someone say I can't see it.
Alignment.
Yeah, like what pieces of information are useful to you in this error message? Errors are your friend. You should hang out once a week, you know. Require relative? Okay.
Grouping 39, syntax error.
All right, this is where I'm going to zone in. I'm going to be like, all right, in the lifter file, on line 39, there's a syntax error, and it's unexpected this keyword end. Okay, I'm in lifter. I'm in line 39. Oh my goodness, there's an end here. It must be extra. Should I just blast it? What's happening here?
You should have marked it.
I should have marked it something like end of lifter class. Wow, how useful would that have been? Because now I know that I probably wrapped this end too much. Or no. Where is it? Is it just an extra end?
Yeah.
We don't know. Let's get rid of that end and let's test. Wow. Cool. I know that this is in fact the end of the lifter class. How much easier would it have been had that comment been there the whole time? Not to say that that was hard, but you would have been more sure, right? If you saw an end here, you'd be like, ooh, let's get out of here. Trash. Cool? All right. So I'm in here, and I want to test my gyms. Great. So let's go to, oh boy. Great. What is membership? Okay? It's a membership object. What do I really need to do here? What does map take? Like what should be inside this binding for I? Should it be membership.lifter double equals self? If I see something like this, what am I gonna think? Pattern matching, right? Because it's like, oh, I've seen this code before. I'm always gonna double equal self. And it's like, is that really what you need to be doing right now? And so that's how, again, like I'm trying to say, like, don't do pattern matching. Just think through the logic. And that is, I'm trying to transform this membership, and I want to make it into the gym. Do I have access to gym somehow through membership?
Yeah.
All right, and how can I do that? Okay, so this is the gym object. That's really about it, right? Like when I'm going through map, I need to give it that one-for-one transformation. But what am I trying to transform it into? I'm trying to transform it into a gym object. So I'm going to go through the membership, and I'm going to ask for its gym. And that's it. If I also see something like this, I'm going to be like, okay. All right? Remember, it's just thinking through the logic. So that's that right there. I'm going to go through all of my memberships, and then I'm going to return a list of the gyms like in my memberships. Really, I'm just asking for the gym. That's all I'm doing. Cool. Let's test. Ooh. Can you guys like not see the bottom? Should I keep the terminal up, or you guys are cool? All right. Cool. Let me clear it. I'm gonna test. So I'm gonna just check out me, all my gyms, and I see 2 gyms. Great. What about Biff? And I just see 1 gym. Cool. That makes sense to me. All right. Any questions on how we kind of like solved it, walk through a logic, or understand sort of like the pitfalls of pattern matching? Okay. Cool. So let's go back to the README. Wow. Almost there. All right. Get the average lift total. What the? Okay. It's weird. Huh? All right. Get the average lift total of all the lifters. How are we feeling about this? That was a little tricky, right? Hundo P possible. All right, what about getting the total cost of a specific lifter's gym memberships? How will we do that? Well, let's think through the logic here. I want to get an average lift total of all the lifters. What's the scope? Class or instance? Right, so class. Cool. What do we want to name this? Maybe like average lift total? Sure. Average lift. I'm just going to upset somebody here. Yeah, just kidding. All right.
That's not what it said. I want to clarify. That's fine.
So something else entirely?
Yeah.
Okay.
We didn't understand. We can talk about it later.
Okay, please. Yeah. All right.
You're party to this conversation.
So it's class scope, right? We've identified the name. Now here comes really like the hard part. What's the logic? What do I need to do to find the average lift total of all the lifters? What do I need first and foremost? Do I need all the memberships? All the gyms? I need to look through all the lifters, right? Okay. So like look through all the lifters and then what? Right, like add together all their lift numbers. And then divide, this is just averaging, right? By the number of lifters. Okay, so let's just talk through this, right? How do you get all the lifters? Wow, magic. All right, how do you get each one of those lift numbers? Right, remember what dot all, I'm probably going to do some dot each or map select find, who knows right now? Who knows? But I know I'm going to go through each one of these lifter objects. Now, how can I, inside the lifter object, pull the data that I need? What is the data that I need? Lift total. Okay. Lifter dot lift total. And now I need to add those numbers up somehow. I'm just going to leave that alone. And then ultimately, how do I get the number of lifters? Right, I can just take all the lifters and I can do length or count. Right, I'm just going to divide by. Right, so the hardest part now is really what? Is this sum. Okay. Sum numbers in array. How to sum numbers in an array in Ruby. Okay, is there any way to get a nice sum? 550 people have said, I need help with this. And almost 600 people said, this is the answer. And this is the documentation. Okay, some numbers. Wow, great. There's some sort of reduce plus. If I take the numbers 5 through 10, I can do reduce plus, and that's going to give me 45. Or I can do inject and pass it a block, where it takes a sum and a number argument, but I don't know what those are. If only there was some way I can test this code. Oh my god. Right? Like that's basically how it happens. Like this is the thought process. So I'm just gonna rip this. Dot inject. All right, cool. I mean, sure, whatever. Let's play with it. So I'm gonna take all this.
Just a quick question. Is reduce and inject the same thing?
Correct. So I'm gonna take all this. Where should I put this? Here, 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 here. Go. So I'm just going to add all my notes here. Right? So it's a class method. Too easy. Def self dot average lift total. Great. How we doing so far? Okay, look through all the lifters. Say less, fam. Lifter dot all dot each. Nope. Lifter dot all dot inject. Okay. Oh, whoa, that's just kidding. I meant to do this. Sorry, that was like the Drake meme. Great. Okay. I'm just gonna change this one liner into a quick multi-liner.
Just a quick question.
Send it.
If instead of lifter dot all you did self dot all, is that the same thing in this context?
What is the scope of this method?
That's a class method.
Correct. So what is the scope of self here?
I would say it's class, but
That is correct. So, great. I'm just going to leave this alone, right? But this is just the logic. You can refactor and do self, but either way. Now, I don't really know what sum and n are. How would I test that? Pry, where? Just put it in between, right before the, it's kind of generic, right? And so I want to point out the way that I do it, and that is I say you should drop the pry on line 39 and a half. That's how I speak. Because it's very clear that I'm talking about the line after 39, but I say the half because I need you to make a new line. So I'm like, hey, drop a pry on line 39 and a half. And you're like, oh, and then you're like, great, cool. Yeah? That's just like a little weird trick. Not everyone's going to understand it immediately, but once you explain it, you're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. So, cool, let's test. Great. I'm going to run this, and I'm going to run this on an instance. Right? Like Evans.average lift total. Why no? It's a class method, right? So I have to call it on the class. So lifter.average lift total. So it's going to run the code and pause at the pry. So I'm going to be like, what is sum? Okay, interesting. And what is n? Interesting. It looks like, one lifter and the other lifter, right? Like, if I'm trying to sum something, I need to make sure I have, like, two things to add together all the time. So, it almost looks like sum and n are kind of like the first two objects in the array. So let's just kind of play this out and see, can I add an object to an object? No. What do I really need? I need the lift total, right? So I'm just going to change sum to sum.lift total. I'm not going to change anything else, like one little thing at a time. And I'm going to change this to lift total. Cool? And then, without like going too into it, I could see that now I have two numbers that I'm going to add together. So I'm just going to put average equals. And so I have a reference to average. So I just want to see if that worked. Right? Okay. How are we feeling so far? Am I moving like wildly fast?
yeah, I don't understand why you would put it in the sum or the n. I would think that you would have did lifter.all.lift total.
Lifter.all.lift total. Is lift total a method defined on the return value of lifter.all?
Say that again.
Your question is lifter.all.lift total.
Or, yeah,
Okay, what is the return value of lifter.all?
it's the whole object.
It's an array of all the lifters.
Okay.
Can you call dot lift total on an array of all the lifters?
I don't know.
Okay. The answer is no. It's just because it's an array, right? That's not a method normally defined on an array. But let's move forward. So I'm just going to exit out of here. Oops, just kidding. I mean, that's really, this error should make sense on the first run through. I can't plus a lifter and a lifter object. So let me go back in here, run that lifter.average total. What's going on? Undefined method, lift total. So something is wrong here, right? Something went wrong. So let's go back. Let's run it again. And what is this right here? Okay, and then what is this right here? So far, so good. Nothing wild, right? Now, what? Okay. So what happens when I add them together? Okay, that should be fine. But now I want to go to the next iteration because I'm like, something went wrong somewhere in the iteration. How can I do that? Okay, so what is sum now? 921. Interesting. So the first time it goes through, it's the first two objects. And then the next time, sum is like the total of sort of like the last kind of return. Does that make sense? But what is n? N is the third lifter, which makes sense, right? It's like I add the first two numbers, and then I have to add the third one to it, then I have to add the fourth one to it, then I have to add the fifth one to it. And so that's how you can dive in and figure out like how this code is working. And it's really just about the process. How are we feeling so far on just like thinking things through? Okay, cool. All right. There's like a lull here, so I will leave you on like a cliffhanger. Let's take a short break, and then we'll come back and I'll like explain, sort of like inject, all right? We took this big problem, just sum it up. I took this big problem, and that is, how do I get a list, how do I get the average lift total of all the lifters, right? I looked at the scope, I looked at what I'm gonna name it, and then I broke down that big problem into much smaller chunks, each one of which I'm like, okay, I feel like I understand. We broke it down, and that is I'm gonna at least go through all the lifters, do something to them. I have to do something with the lift totals, and that's add them all together somehow. Don't really know how to do that part yet, but that part I need. And then I'm going to have to divide them. That's just how average works, yeah? All right, so I took that complex problem, I broke it down to small chunks, and then I just tried working at it. And that is, I was like, great, the first problem I have is not whether or not I know how to go through all the lifters. I know how to do that. So we wrote that code. We started with lifter.all, and then we went through. And then you watched me Google, how do I add a list of like numbers together in an array, Ruby? And it was like, hey, try this. Go to the documentation. I was like, wow. So I looked at it, I tried it, I tested it, I put the binding price, systematically, methodically went through, analyzed every little piece, and was like, okay, I feel like I understand a little bit how this works now. I tested it, I went through, I tested it, I went through, and then we ran into our second problem, which is you can't really pass in objects in here. It just needs to be all numbers. So then we thought, how can I get all these objects and just get a bunch of numbers? Well, I need this one-for-one transformation, which I know how to use. We created an array of just the numbers that we wanted, right? Right? And then we use that inject to sort of get like all the lifts, the total of all the lifts. So total of all the lifts. So now what's sort of the last step? To add together their lift numbers, which we did. And now the last step is we have to do what? Right, so I'm going to take the total of all the lifts and sort of divide it by the number of lifters. And that's how the magic happens, right? Just big complex problem, small little pieces, Googling, looking through, potentially asking questions, right? You're like, I don't understand inject. You're going to try pry, you're going to try debugging, you're going to test some variables, and if it's still kind of confusing, you can pop over and ask us. And we'll take the time to explain it to you. And that's really like how the learning works. But if you came up to one of us and was just like, I read this deliverable, and that is I need the average lift total. It doesn't work, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, cool, so what do you know, right? What do you need? And then we can start working on that process. That process is going to be so important because the better question really, especially when you get to production and you're talking to your senior engineer, is I'm having trouble getting inject to work versus I don't know what this is, I don't know what I'm doing. It's okay not to know, but one question is sort of more indicative of things that you've tried. Yeah? What I'm not trying to say is be afraid of saying I don't know what this is. It's like what, you've been doing Ruby for a week, and that's okay. But I'm trying to like get your mindset into like, hey, how do I formulate better and better questions? So if you do not understand how something works, or you don't know where to start, that's also a fine question. But I'm trying to take you to the next step, yeah? All right, cool. Questions on any of these steps here and ultimately how we met this deliverable? Okay, okay. Cool deal. All right, so get the total cost of a specific lifter's gym memberships. What is this really asking for? Get the total cost of a specific lifter's gym membership.
Depends on how many gym memberships they own. I guess if you're asking for monthly payment, then the cost of the membership.
Right, so the idea is that like something about the membership costs money. Let's take a look at membership. Right? So the idea is that like maybe this deliverable's tricky. Like, I don't know, I'm thinking there's some monthly bill or the question can be ambiguous. In a code challenge, in a lab, in production, you're like, hey, I'm not really sure what you're asking for. Are you asking for A or are you asking for B? Just ask, right? We're here to clarify. And we might be like, hey, this question is kind of ambiguous. This is just asking you for the total cost of one membership. So if I have a membership to Planet Fitness, I should be able to look to see how much does it cost. That's what it's asking for.
Is it asking for like the lifter class should call with a lifter instance attached to it or an instance to call itself?
Say again, over.
Like, I guess you would also, it's also a little ambiguous, like, is it a lifter accessing that, like, is it an instance because the lifter is asking, or is the lifter class given a specific lifter to look it up? I think, like, that's ambiguous. I'm assuming
Yeah.
it's an instance.
Yeah, it's kind of ambiguous, right? And this is actually a good point. That's when we'll come over and like we'll address it. If I get like the same question twice, I'm like, all right, cool. Hey, so for this deliverable, this is what it's looking for. And I'll just like say it out loud. But yeah, for here, we're not going to work on this because I'm just going to talk through the logic. So get a total cost of a specific lifter's gym memberships. So I want the total cost of a specific lifter's gym memberships. What do I really need here? What sort of information do I need? Well, what's the scope? Is this for a class or is this for an instance? How did you know that? Specific lifter, right? So instance, great. What do you want to name this? Right? Like, so, yeah, sure, something like my total costs, something like that. Whatever you want to name it, it's totally fine. Right, like my gym costs, sure.
Ticket the bells.
You're right. Smart. I want to get a total cost of the specific lift or gym membership. So I got to look at, it's an instance, this is the name. What information do I need? If I'm a lifter and I want to know how much all my gym memberships cost, what's the key piece of information there? Is it all the memberships in the world? Yeah, all my memberships. Let's take a look at lifter. Ooh, wow, that looks like it's going to be real helpful. Okay, all my memberships, right? And then inside each one of these, what do I need to do? Inside all the memberships, what piece of information is super clutch? The cost. So then I'm just going to go through all my memberships and add up the costs. If only there was some way where we knew how to add up all the numbers in an array. That would be V useful. And so they're like building on each other, right? Cool. And that's really, yeah, that's like how you meet this deliverable. That's really just the logic, right? Given a gym and a membership, sign a specific lifter up for a new gym. Okay. Given a gym and a membership cost, sign a specific lifter up for a new gym. Awesome. This one is sort of like new, but let's think through. Given a gym and a membership cost, what is the scope of this method? What are we thinking here? Class? A specific lifter. So I'm thinking this should be an instance method, right? It's being called on a specific lifter. So instance, cool. What do you want to name a method that basically signs up for a new gym? Sign me up? Sure. Def sign me up. Cool. All right. Given a gym and a membership cost. So this method gets information. And it gets a gym and a membership cost. So def sign me up must receive a gym and a membership cost. Okay? So far, so good. You have to actually sign a lifter up for a new gym. Okay. Let's think through. I've got this data. Go into lifter. Boop, boop. Great. Oop, just kidding. We need this. Great. So, sign me up. All right. I have a gym and I have a membership cost. How do I actually sort of sign up for a gym? What does that really mean? Creating a new instance of membership, right? It doesn't make sense. If I'm going to sign up for a gym, should I be making a brand new gym? If I sign up for a gym, should I be making another lifter? No, if I sign up for a gym, it's like, great, let me sign you up. Here's your membership card. I have to sign up. It's creating a new instance of the membership. So, how do I create a new instance of membership? Wow, okay. What are the details of membership? Lifter, gym, and cost. All right, so who's the lifter here? Oh, me. Wow, brilliant. And where's the gym coming from? Where, I mean, is it just coming from anywhere? Right, it's being passed in as an argument. So this is the gym, right? And how much does that gym cost? Okay, cool. So you've just signed up for a new gym. You've created this brand new membership. Is there anything else you need to do? Test it, right? So let's test. I'm going to go in, and I'm just going to take a look at my gyms, which is a method we built. And I see that I belong to 2 gyms. So now I'm going to take this, and I'm going to do sign me up. I'm going to pass it a gym. Should I take a look at my seed data? I'm sorry. Take a look at my seed data, and I see a couple gyms in there. Okay? Should I sign up with Equinox like this? Equinox? Is this good? No? What should I do? Huh? What do I need to pass in to sign me up? What does sign me up take? A gym. So taking a look at our seed data, right, let's just pass in Blink, right, as a gym. So Blink, and then how much does Blink cost? It doesn't matter. Yeah, sure, 25. Great. Theoretically, if I take a look at this Readme, given a gym membership cost, sign a specific lifter up for a new gym. If I check evans.mygyms, what should I see there? Three gyms. I now belong to all 3 gyms. I'm wasting a lot of money every month, but here I am. Cool.
Doesn't matter the new cost you pass in for Blink is different from the Blink instance you find.
Not really. It's just not really. Because I could have signed up with no promo code and been paying like $40 a month, you know. Cool. All right. Just like kind of walk through the rest of the README. Any questions on how we were able to determine the scope, the name of the method, and then ultimately sort of like the logic behind it? All right. Cool. So this one's done. Bloop. All right, for memberships, can we get a list of all the memberships? Yeah, I think so. Okay. Wow. Okay. What about a list of all the gyms? No. So we need to build that. Does anyone want me to go over how to build this? Oh, thank goodness. All right. So that's done, theoretically. All right. Get a list of all the memberships at a specific gym. How do we feel about this? Can you do it? Okay. Get a list of all the lifters that have a membership to a specific gym. Take your time, think through it.
Do you think that we feel good about it, or can you currently do it?
How do you feel about your ability to do it?
We can come back Monday.
You could. Good. Okay. Just out of curiosity, get a list of the names of all the lifters that have a membership to a particular gym. This one should be... What are your thoughts on this?
It's easy watching you do it, but you know, we can sit down and do it ourselves. That's the only way we can tell you. I mean, right now, I'd be just yesing you, like telling me what you want to hear if I say yes.
I would prefer you not telling me what I want to hear.
That's
Actually, no, I'm just kidding. What I want to hear is whether or not
I
you
think
feel...
I'm equipped with, you know, based on what you've showed me that, you know, I can attempt it myself, but without actually doing it, I can't say.
That's my goal. I just want you to feel like whether or not you feel like you can take this problem, break it down into smaller problems, basically pseudocode kind of like the logic, and then systematically go through and debug using pry or put statements. Okay? And then ultimately, the combined lift total of every lifter. Of a specific gym. All right. What I'll do is we'll walk through the logic together. I'll leave it at that, and then I'll push this code out. Cool? All right, so let's get a list of all the memberships at a specific gym. Class instance. Great. What do you want to name this? Remember, you're in the gym class, right? So what do you want to name this? Something like, I don't know, like the members, right? Because remember, it's going to be like something like Planet Fitness dot the members, right? Or whatever it is. Okay? How do you get a list of all the members at a specific gym? What do you need to do? How do I get a list of all the memberships at a specific gym? All the memberships at a specific gym. Do I go through all the lifters? Great. So go through all the memberships. What am I looking for specifically? Right? Like, yeah, checking the gym. And you're just checking the gym if it's you, if you're the gym. Okay? All right, getting a list of all the lifters that have a membership to a specific gym. I myself am like, okay, this question is not very good. I would ask, I'd be like, what does this even mean? I want a list of all the lifters that have a membership to a specific gym. That specific gym is going to be the instance that's calling it. So this is going to be instance. What do we want to name this? Let's say you have Planet Fitness dot, sure, the lifters, right? And what do you need to get all the lifters? If I'm at gym and I need to go to lifters, I need to go through memberships. It's a good thing you have all the members. So go through the memberships. And then what?
Isn't it the same question as the one before? Basically the same solutions.
Like the structure
Similar.
mimics a lot of the structures that we have to do for the. Is that what you're saying?
Memberships are different from the lifters.
So you can be a member but not be a lifter.
You can be a lifter, but not necessarily a member at that gym.
But if we get, oh, I see. Okay, so that's a list of the memberships, and then okay.
This is a list of all the lifter objects. Yeah? Okay. So I'm going to go through all the memberships, and what do I really need to do here?
Exactly.
Get the lifter associated with that membership.
Remember the visualization, right? You have like a member object, membership, and then you have at lifter, like blah, 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 and then you have at gym. It's like blah, 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 right? And I have a bunch of these. What do I need from this array?
We need to match the lifters with our gym. So
Remember, you're going through all of the memberships that are yours already. All you really need are the lifter objects from here. So is there any way to take each one of these member objects and turn them into lifter objects? Now you're getting it. Yeah. I would map through all the members, all the memberships, and then I would just return the lifter.
All your
All your memberships, correct. Yeah. Get a list of the names of all the lifters. Okay? How are we feeling about this? What is the scope of this? What is this asking for?
array.
What is this asking for?
Asking for all data on previous
Mhm.
example, except
Yep. I'm going to go through all the lifters at my gym. Instead of lifter objects, I just need their names. Is there any way to transform that lifter object into just an array of names? You can. All right, and then get a combined lift total for every lifter that has membership to that gym. Same, but different, right? I would go through all the lifters at my gym, and instead of doing that one-for-one transformation and pulling their names, I'm gonna pull their lift totals, and then I'm gonna add them up. Cool? All right. I'm gonna kill it here. It's about an hour and a half.